Today I'm going to try to rank the Lucy Maud Montgomery standalones. We'll see how this goes. Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to kick off the first full week of the More Montgomery Challenge with a ranking of Lucy Maud Montgomery's standalone novels. So these are novels that there's just one novel, and this is not a series or a trilogy or anything. And so I wanted to try to rank them. There are 5 standalone novels that were written by Lucy Maud Montgomery. And I enjoyed every one of these. So before I rank them, know that I did find all of them enjoyable. It's just some are more favorites than others. Some were okay and enjoyable, and some are like the best books I've ever read. So that's how this will go. So don't think that I don't like these books. I do. But I do have some favorites, of course. And so actually, as I was going through this, and I really officially haven't ranked them yet. I was going to do that on camera. But I've kind of been thinking, okay, which one is my favorite? Because I know which one is my favorite. And I know which one is my least favorite. But in the middle, we'll just see how it goes. Because, you know, a lot of times, it's just what kind of mood you're in. So these are the books. We have The Blue Castle, A Tangled Web, Jane of Lantern Hill, Kilmeny of the Orchard, and Magic for Marigold. So those are the 5 standalones I'm going to try to rank that I have read by Lucy Maud Montgomery. So my least favorite is Kilmeny of the Orchard. This one, I think the problem with this one, now I did enjoy it. Again, I loved all of these books. But I think the reason it's my least favorite is, for one thing, it's a slight novel. There's not much to this. It's only like 130 pages. In my copy, I think it's about 130 pages. And so I think I just needed more from the story. It feels more like a novella or a longer short story, which is fine. That's not the problem. But it just needed a little bit more to be higher up on this list. This is about a young man. He is a substitute teacher, and he moves to this town to substitute for this teacher. And he meets this girl, Kilmeny, in this orchard. Kilmeny is mute. She can't talk. And he falls in love with her. So the story's about him, you know, wanting to earn the love of Kilmeny. And it really has like a fairy tale kind of feel to it. It reminds me of that book, Girl of the Limberlost, I think's the name of it. It has that kind of feel, of more of a fairy tale in the wilderness kind of feel to it. And I like that about it. I just wanted more to the story. To me, it wasn't enough of a story to make it higher on this list. But I did enjoy Kilmeny of the Orchard. Now, the next 3 are very difficult for me because they're all about the same. But I'm going to say, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to say Jane of Lantern Hill would be next. Now, I did enjoy this. This is actually the group read for this month for the More Montgomery Challenge this year. And I haven't started reading it again, and maybe it will go up higher on this list. Because you know how it is. A lot of times it's when you read a book. But this one is very good again. And all of the rest are like favorites. But I don't know. For me, there was this relationship in this one with the father and daughter. I don't want to say too much about this one because we're reading this one as our group read, but it is about a girl who she thinks her father her father has died. She just assumes that her father has died long ago, and then she finds out that he's alive and he wants to see her, and she goes and spends time with her father and builds a relationship with her father, which is wonderful. And the way that they get along is wonderful. It has the wonderful characterization that we know and love from Lucy Maud Montgomery. But I just found that the relationship between Jane and her father was just a little weird to me, almost creepy. And so maybe it's the time period, but it felt like she was keeping house more as a wife than she was as a daughter. And so that's why it kind of just, I don't know, it was just kind of weird to me. But again, I did enjoy this book, and I look forward to starting this one again. I'm going to try to, because we're going to talk about it at the end of the month, I'm going to wait a week or two before I start it and start it at the end of the month so that it's fresh on my mind. Again, it is a reread for me, and I did enjoy it. But we'll see how it goes. It might end up higher on the list. Hopefully not lower, but higher on the list. We'll see. The next one is Magic for Marigold. This is about a little girl named Marigold, and this is a delightful story. I really loved this. This reminds me a lot of what I love about Anne of Green Gables. You know, it's just these little episodes in Marigold's life as she grows up. She is curious. She has this great imagination. All of these characters do have great imaginations, by the way. But she has one of those just wonderful imaginations as a young girl. And it's about her growing up. And I don't know. This one is just fun to read. I don't think about this one as much as I do the other two that I'm going to talk about. But I do find this one an enjoyable read. I remember when I was reading it, I was looking forward to reading it each night before I went to bed. This is a good one of just it is a full novel, but each chapter's more like a little short story within the novel to me, more episodic. And I like that about it, so that at night I can kind of read myself a little bedtime story. I consider this more the adventures of Marigold, and so I did enjoy this one. And then the next one, the runner-up for my favorite is A Tangled Web. I loved this story, and it is definitely a tangled web. There is this pitcher, this jug that everyone in the family wants. This one of the matriarchs of the family, when she passes away, she's leaving this famous jug that everybody in the family wants to have for whatever reason. And it is tangled because at the very beginning of the story, now this is something you have to know about this story. The first chapter or two is just introducing you to all the members of this family and how they interact with one another. And so you have to be patient in that first chapter, because I was like, my goodness, this is one tangled web for sure, because there is just this, it's a big cast of characters. And they were so interesting, though. As you keep reading, it was very interesting on how they interact as a family, how they are in this community, this tight-knit community, and how there are grudges and unforgiveness and things that happened long ago that they can't get over, that kind of thing. Montgomery has those kind of things in a lot of her stories, and she does it very well in this one. I think this is the epitome of her characterization is in this story, and so that's why I love this one. I highly recommend A Tangled Web. And it was, yes, a page turner for sure. But overall, I will always say that my favorite standalone by Lucy Maud Montgomery is The Blue Castle. I love Valancy, who is or Valancy, however you say her name. I say Valancy. But Valancy is the main character in this story. She gets some pretty scary news at the beginning, and because of that news, she decides that she is going to just live life to the fullest and not worry about what everybody thinks of her. And wow, does it turn everything on its head, and her family just don't know how to deal with it. And it is such an interesting look at the family dynamic in the story, and how she is a determined girl, and she's going to live life the way that she wants to live it. She's a loving person. She's a kind person. But she decides, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to live what life I have left the way that I want to live it. And it is super interesting. And I love Valancy. She's one of the best characters I have ever read. And when I read this, I decided I wanted to read, even though I had read Anne of Green Gables, I loved Anne of Green Gables and I loved Anne Shirley. After reading this one was when I decided to finish reading Anne of Green Gables and read everything that Lucy Maud Montgomery wrote, because this book is different than any book I have ever read. I've actually looked up books like The Blue Castle, and books will come up, and I have read several of those. There was one that was an Australian book that does have a similar plot as this one, but it does not compare to this one. I have never read a book that is like this book at all. And it is just such an it's just an amazing book and an amazing character. She is just such a strong character, and the way it plays out is super interesting. And this is one that I will read over and over again. So there you have it. My all-time favorite is The Blue Castle, and then I would say A Tangled Web. It comes in pretty close to this one. This one just is, I don't know, I just love this book so much. But then A Tangled Web, and then Magic for Marigold, Jane of Lantern Hill, and then finally Kilmeny of the Orchard. And again, I did enjoy this. It's just more of a novella than it is to me a standalone full novel. So those are the books that Lucy Maud Montgomery wrote as standalone novels. Have you read any of these? Are you joining us in the More Montgomery Challenge? I hope that you are. So let me know in the comments what's your favorite book by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and we'll chat there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.